I've been learning about various from indigenous populations specifically, and also from my travels in Japan, about this concept that paradise actually exists here on Earth, and so does hell. What would your reaction be to that statement?
Yes, I agree with that. I'm sure that there's paradise on earth and there is hell on earth, but some people suffer hell who don't deserve it. I mean, I always note my mother used to take me to hospitals for terminally ill people, and I saw people in great suffering, in appalling suffering, and they believed in their God, and their belief in God is what actually kept them alive and kept them going. And why did these people have such suffering? They hadn't led bad lives. Or people who, I had a relation, an old lady that I knew as a child, who had 9 sons and 8 of them were killed in the war. And the last one was then sent home to take care of her. So much suffering, and she was a saintly person. So why was this hell for her on earth? So hell on earth and paradise on earth is not necessarily our deserts. Some people seem to lead an extraordinarily luxurious life and are really quite wicked people. So they've got paradise on earth. So yes, there's paradise on earth. Yes, there's hell on earth. But it's not necessarily because of the life you've led. Well, I've seen in India also very hungry children, and in Brazil. In India, they seem perfectly happy because I think their religion teaches them to be happy. I've been in parts of India where people really have very little, but they offer you their food. And they seemed perfectly happy again. I've seen very poor children in the favelas in Brazil, in Rio. And they seemed very joyful and happy. So I'm not quite sure. Everybody has their own idea of what is paradise and their own idea of hell. I mean, I think my idea of paradise is being in this pavilion on a sunny day with the blinds up and a good book with a cat on my knee. I mean, it's the nicest thing I can think of, with some Mozart playing in the background. I mean, we have many different kinds of paradise, being surrounded by your children who are all smiling and happy and not miserable for some reason. I mean, you know, just laughing with one's husband, doing something. At different ages in your life, you have different ideas of paradise too. And people who are unfortunate enough to die young, let's say in a road accident or something, have they already seen their paradise? Was it the disco? Was it the girlfriend? Paradise can take so many different forms, can't it? Or are we calling paradise just being happy? Being happy within yourself. I'm sort of rather happy person. I wake up happy every morning, and then sometimes gloom descends when I realize what's going on the day. But this is one's disposition, I think. It's the way you're made. I have a very positive disposition. I always think things are going to work out all right, even when the chances are they won't. And so is that paradise? Is it hell when they don't work out all right? I don't know. And I'm not curious about it either. I let it come. If I die tomorrow, I hope I've settled my accounts with God. And my stepmother was somebody I loved very much. And when she was 93, she was a little bit deaf. And she didn't hear that a golf buggy was backing. When they back, they make that bleep bleep noise, don't they? And she didn't hear it, and it ran her over. And I guess the man was looking over the wrong shoulder without a rear view mirror in a park where she was. And she was in great pain, and she was alive, and they sent a helicopter to take her to hospital. And she died as the helicopter went high into the sky. And before she died, she was completely conscious with this accident. She actually said to the people with her, "Nearer, my God, to thee." And she was in great pain, I know, because they told me. And I always thought, well, in a sense, what a beautiful way to go as you go up in a helicopter. think you're going up already.
It must have been very hard for you, ma'am, marrying into a family that didn't accept your faith in a way. How did you deal with that on a personal level?
I ignore it. They've got their faith, I've got mine. I go to their church. My husband comes to mine. It's a very personal thing. I think when you grow up in a country where more or less everyone is of the same religion, you take it for granted. I'm afraid you do. Everybody's Catholic, so you don't talk about it. It's not a topic really of conversation. It's just a way of life. When I came to England, I was 21, and my mother had a lot of English friends, and they very much looked after me and took me about and sponsored me and introduced me to young people. And a friend of my mother's, I remember, would say, now, that's so-and-so, his father's so-and-so, and he's going to inherit so many acres and a lovely house, whatever. And the same about this young man. And then I'd say, well, what about that young man? Well, that young man's absolutely charming, delightful, lovely house. Yes, very nice young man, but oh dear, he's Catholic. And I'd say, but so am I. Oh dear, yes, of course you are, my dear, of course you are. And this struck me. It was, oh dear, he's Catholic. Catholic was, and I'm talking, 35 years ago, 40 years ago, was very much a blot against somebody's good fortune. And being foreign, it was sort of all right for me, because I was foreign. Much was accepted as being irreconcilable to the English way of life, I think, with some people. But I'm just a very quiet Catholic. I don't bang the drum at all. If all these different religions would accept that we all believe in something that is spiritual, superior, that binds us together, so that we say love one another, but be tolerant of one another and accept one another. It's just terribly hard to know how to do it. Reconciliation is the most important thing, I think, in my husband's and my in the background of our daily life, to somehow, but I don't know how, except by gentle persuasion, gently talking to people. But it's not the people who are listening who are causing the conflict. It's the people who are not listening who cause the conflict. And I don't know the answer at all, but reconciliation is the goal. I just wish I knew how to do it. I wish somebody who's important in our lives, our governments, whatever, knew how to do this. It's the most important thing that there is.
Do you think that God is us as individuals as well? Do you think that we are God, you are God, I am God, on that level then?
No.
No, okay.
No. I think we are puny, miserable people who have to strive to, this is my Catholic upbringing, you can tell, we have to strive to improve ourselves. We have to try to influence those in our sphere of influence. We have to try to make them better, be it our children, our families. We have to make ourselves better. I don't think God is us at all. God is within us in a gentle way, telling us, reminding us, I think, to be better, to be more forgiving, to be kinder. And it's very hard sometimes, isn't it? I won't elaborate on that. When you're riled by things that really annoy you, or things people say, or things people do. But it's this enormous feeling of forgiveness that we have to have, and that's the point to me of the Christian God. And if we can get that sense across to other religions, that our God is a forgiving God, that to me is the most important thing of Christianity, that our God forgives. And of course the sacrament of the Mass and the Eucharist, that we actually take into us God at the time of communion. We take God into us, but he doesn't sort of hang about. I mean, he's there trying to help us be better. But we are not God, no. God enters us. When I first came to England and I met all these wonderful English ladies, the first thing they would do is show me their garden. And I said to my mother, what's this that the English ladies have with their garden? What's this passion about the garden? And my mother said, well, you see, darling, I learnt this when I was in England, and that English ladies, when they reach a certain age, they either turn their attention to God or they turn their attention to the garden. And my mother said she believed that God was in the garden, so therefore it was all right to be a gardener. And I'm a passionate gardener, so I believe my God is in the garden. I'm a farmer's daughter. I think it's a miracle every time I put a seed, I put my finger in the soil, I put a seed in, and something grows, and it becomes a flower. That to me is paradise. That's a miracle. Passionate gardeners, I think, have quite a lot of paradise around them.